What would happen if the US balkanized? So basically, balkanization is a term that is mostly used for the Balkan nations because they were once one big multicultural society and they has broke apart. I think that Alaska and Hawaii will become their own countries. Alaska will have to worry about Russia, sir, because USA will not be able to protect Alaska, and Russia has made desires to bring Alaska back into its country. Hawaii would also become an independent state as well, you know, and an independent country as well. I don't foresee most of this changing, you know. Now we're going over to the states, okay? The states, for example, Florida, you can say Florida just becomes one country, but Florida has multiple cultures. There's the Panhandle culture, which is more similar to Alabama. There's most of Florida, and then there's southern Florida, which is more similar to Cuba. We'll start with New England. I think there'll be like a New England state. This state will be mostly Irish, you know, and Old English here as well, and also with some French influence as well. This we'll also have like the Boston area. This will be like a more multicultural country tree as well. Here you could definitely see that happening as well. And you'll have the rest of Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island becoming, you know, what's gonna create this, you know. So in New England alone, you have 4 new UN member states alongside with Alaska and Hawaii. We're not gonna be calling these countries in because we're gonna call it in Hawaii for some reason, you know. Also, New York metropolitan area. I could foresee becoming a massive like city state. Yeah, so the New York metropolitan area is kind of its own little thing. Same thing with like the Pennsylvania here. This is like the Pennsylvania area. And then we have New Jersey here, which New Jersey is mostly separate from Pennsylvania. Most of Pennsylvania's culture. Yeah. And yeah, this is, we're gonna also create a kind of like an upstate New York culture. I know upstate New York has multiple cultures, but we're only combining the rest of Connecticut. The rest of Connecticut will become one country. But the upstate New York could be a completely separate state. It will be much poorer than the rest of New York. Also include northern Pennsylvania as well. As northern Pennsylvania is kind of like the similar culture to upstate New York as well. Pennsylvania is a very strange state. We'll have the eastern Pennsylvania. It will be a part of the New Appalachia culture. And this is the more like, and this will be like the other, and the other Pennsylvania will be here. Yeah, this will be representing more of the old of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Also, northern West Virginia will also become a part of this state here. So yeah, this is here. And then we also have like the Baltimore area and the Delaware area here, which is cut off here, so it'll become its own little area here. So this area will become its own area. The DC, Maryland area is mostly like the similar culture, so this will be here. Then we have like Appalachia. So the Appalachia be split up into multiple countries. I think it should. So we have this Appalachia here. We have some more urban areas as well. This area will be a mostly conservative state here, and it'll be mostly electing conservatives here. This will be the most conservative country, or one of the most conservative countries in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if the laws of this country is like, you know, oh, you can't watch, like, you know, ban like porn, the ban like TikTok, the ban, you know, everybody will have to go back to the old ways of living. Then we have the South. Okay, I could foresee a population exchange between, you know, ethnic groups, I can see a black southern state being created in like Alabama and stuff. I'll put around the Mississippi River here. There'll be one here. So yeah, this will be like a majority black area here. As I think that part of Mississippi and not Alabama, Arkansas and Louisiana is majority black here. And same thing with like Alabama as well. These new states will be like referred to as the new Africa states as well. The other state besides probably the Maryland metro area would be Atlanta. The Atlanta metro area becoming another majority black area. I think Atlanta is distinct enough for it to become its own country. I don't know the exact boundaries of Atlanta, but I'll put it here. So that's Atlanta here. We're also gonna have the Low Country here, which is this cultural here, and it's gonna be much safer than like the interior part of South Carolina. Same thing with this coastal region of North Carolina here. I am surprised Mozilla Z did not talk about the Low Country of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. But I didn't even know about the Low Country coast until I actually went there. So we're gonna also have like the Central Carolinas. This will be the former Carolinas here. They'll be mostly reliant on the coastal regions for trade and goods. And they'll be mostly demographically similar to the current states. So there'll be the majority white population of a large black minority, kind of like most of the South is. We're going through the South first. And then we have an Appalachia state. Another Appalachia state, which is this. Okay, not great. We want the another Appalachia state. This is the Appalachian states are among some of the poorest states in the Americas. That is one of the amongst the poorest states of Americas. Of the new American states or countries. And then we have the southern portion of Georgia and the panhandle of Florida combined with southern Alabama and southern Mississippi. These areas are relatively close in culture. So I can see, and also part of Georgia will also be a part of here. Southern Georgia and part of Alabama will also be in this country here. I don't want to make like a billion countries, so yeah. Same thing with this little area here. Yeah, the black country, I have Memphis. And then we have northern Alabama. This is the other like Scott Irish culture, American culture. Now it's time to do Florida. Okay, Florida. Okay, Florida's gonna be split into two. Besides the Panhandle, we have Southern Florida and we have the rest of Florida. So Southern Florida will be mostly Spanish speakers, as that's the demography of Miami. Now we're going to the Midwest. Okay, we have this area is kind of its own little culture here. Besides like St. Louis, St. Louis would be like the major should St. Louis be its own city state? I think St. Louis. I don't know what the exact state. I think St. Louis is around here, but I'm not gonna. I don't know the same exact location. I know like Kansas City's like here, but St. Louis, we're gonna be making this very southern agrarian society. This is kind of like the transitional area between the South and the Midwest. So parts of Ohio, a lot of Kentucky, even parts of some southern states like Tennessee will be like this southern state here. Chicago area will become its own state. It's culturally separate from the rest of Illinois and the rest of Wisconsin. It'll become its own separate area. It'll be one of the most populated countries in the world and the former USA, given how many people live in Chicago and its surrounding area. We'll also have like Indiana, here, and okay, we're not giving Indiana Detroit. We'll be giving this is like the I'm essentially just redrawing the U.S. borders. I am basically just doing that. We'll have Detroit. Detroit is kind of a separate area, so we'll give Detroit its separate area, and we'll give the rest of, this will be like the Ohio state. Ohio and Michigan will no longer exist. And now we're doing the upper panhandle. The rest of Michigan will be just one country. The panhandle and this northern part of Wisconsin are very culturally similar. And this part of Minnesota, so I'm making this one whole state. Okay, there's the Madison area of Wisconsin and there's the rest of Wisconsin. That's gonna be a problem. So we're just gonna make one country here for Madison. The rest of Wisconsin will be like one country. Actually, let's include Milwaukee and the Chicago state. I think the rural Wisconsin is gonna be happy about this. Milwaukee will be excluded. Milwaukee will be a part of Chicago. Now we have the rest of the country to deal with. Okay, so this is like the rural prairie areas, so we'll be giving them their own separate areas. I didn't, until I watched that video, the balkanization in the US, I didn't know how culturally diverse the US truly was until I watched the video. But this is like the Midwest prairie. This is a mostly agrarian culture. It is also gonna be one of the top producers of agriculture. These states, these countries right here are gonna be the top producers of agriculture in the world. We're gonna have like the former French. We're gonna have the French influence of Louisiana be a separate country here. We're gonna have a very liberal state here, and this is the kind of like this is a country based around like the Twin Cities, and also just combine the rest of this rural areas here. Then we're gonna have a massive country right here. This is just mostly like the mountain states. This will just be one massive country. Like no one lives here, basically. So we're gonna be making this one massive state. Also gonna be separating the Scandinavian America here from the rest of the mountain states. So this will be kind of like the Scandinavia America. And these mountain states here will be like one massive country. So most of Wyoming. And you know what? Let's give since this part of Oregon wants to be a part of this part of Oregon wants to be a part of this area. they can also join in the greater mountain state country. Also, we're also giving them a part of Utah, whereas I don't know why I'm doing that, but they'll get a part of Utah anyways. Most of this portion area, besides that part of Utah, is mostly like one culture anyways. There we go. We did the mountains. Utah, I think it's gonna mostly stay relatively intact. This is gonna be the Mormon country, the state of Deseret, or Utah. We're also gonna exclude this area, but this is the state of Deseret. Here, it also includes parts of Colorado and Nevada, like the parts no one lives in. Yeah, there we go. Deseret is done. Now it's time for the rest of the country. Okay, the West Coast cultures here. This is the more conservative area, so it'll be a separate state. A separate country. They might actually just join the greater Idaho Northern Mountain State. And we also have the liberal area here. This is a very liberal state. Here, this would be mostly Portland and Seattle areas as well. We have the West Coast here. A massive West Coast state here. And then we have the country of Jefferson, which will look pretty weird. And it's mostly Northern California and Central Oregon. We're also going to have the Nevada, this part of Nevada. We're going to have Vegas State here. So this part of Nevada and California. And Nevada and parts of Arizona as well. California is a very culturally diverse state. So we're going to have the California Bay here. We're going to have this northern part of California, Central Valley here. We're going to have this coast of California, the LA state, and we're going to have a SoCal state, and we're going to have like the desert, like the two people live here state. I think a major cities here. Also going to have a more Hispanic oriented state here. That would be very similar culture to Mexico. It's kind of like some of the Southern Californian as well. As they're on the border of Mexico, so they're going to be more closely similar to Mexico than, let's just say, the mountain states up here, or these states here, Appalachia. We're going to have a majority Native American state here. Then we're going to have the rest of Arizona. Or let's say it's also going to contain El Paso. So the rest of Arizona will be here, and with parts of New Mexico. Meanwhile, southern New Mexico and El Paso will be the major population center of this southern state here. And then we have the Rio Grande, which I'm going to probably separate into two countries because of how large it is. We're going to have two separate states on the Rio Grande border with Mexico. Then we're going to have Texas is a very strange we're gonna have this massive, like, very conservative state right here with Oklahoma, Panhandle. Yes, no one will miss the Panhandle of Oklahoma. No one will miss it. I know it looks like a hat, but no one will miss Oklahoma's Panhandle. We're always gonna have a separate state here, which is New Mexico, and we're gonna have Colorado. Colorado is kind of like its own separate culture. It'll be a mostly very liberal culture. Yeah. I also foresee the population falling in the more liberal states falling, considering the fact that it's gonna be, unless they can get immigration from other states or Mexico or Canada, it'll be much harder for them to repopulate. We're also gonna have the major metros here of Texas. We're gonna have a state here, and we're gonna have several like very rural states here. This part of Texas is very similar to the deep south, so we're gonna actually separate these two states here, these countries here, and we're almost done. We have done most of the countries. Alaska and Hawaii here. We're going to be giving this area, which is the main metro, is Kansas City. This will be Kansas. Kansas will get a major expansion. And then we have Oklahoma. We're going to also have Arkansas, which we have several areas we can do. We have this area, which is, I think it's its own culture here. And we have the rest of Arkansas, where we'll combine with Louisiana, and the rest of Oklahoma will be split into another country. And there we go. The balkanization of the U.S. is complete. This is the new map of the USA, of what was formerly the USA. As well, do you think any of these countries could survive? Which country will collapse first? I'm betting the first country will collapse first is the San Francisco Bay Area because of how problematic it is. Will any extreme governments form out of any of these countries? Like, I could see extreme governments forming out of these states here, which are these states in the south, these countries in the south. I could see like a more libertarian approach, like in these portions of the states, these areas here. I don't see many far left progressive states surviving that long. Like for example, this country right here. No, this country right here with Portland and Seattle, which are the main metropolitan areas here. I foresee this country actually becoming very poor in the future, even though it is a tech hub. But again, Seattle and Portland are some of the fastest deteriorating cities in America. This is like the only area based around the Detroit metropolitan area. Or another question is, will any countries declare war on each other? Will any of these American countries declare war on each other? Because there's so many that I created. I actually created even more than Mozilla Z made in that video. But I wonder if any like American states will fight each other for land. Considering the fact that there's no world hegemony anymore, I can see, like, for example, if Mexico wants their land back, they'll take back these. Mexico could take back its land. Yeah. And what about immigration between states? That would be very interesting. For example, could these states here? This will be also these like, for example, what of these states, more immigrants from these states or these states? There's a lot of questions. Okay, a lot of questions. Or what if states joined in alliances or unions with each other? As well, it's very interesting how large North America is, and how there's just one massive country here that could split at any day or any moment if it wanted to into so many other countries as well, which means North America could be the new Europe in terms of balkanization, because Europe, more used to be one massive country at one time. It was called Rome. Rome was a massive country in Europe. Europe used to be one massive country. It was Rome, also including the Middle East and North Africa as well. But Europe used to have like one country. It was Rome, and Rome like fell and balkanized. And if that happens to the U.S., this could be a very likely scenario about the borders separating by ethnic lines and religious lines as well. I could definitely foresee population exchanges, especially in the South, creating massive majority black states and cities. It'll be very interesting to see how those countries are run. And of course, you have the Appalachian states. You have places like Chicago. You still have many multicultural places like Chicago, Detroit, New York, Boston, Portland, these areas here, and Austin in this area here, and this area here, and of course Miami here as well. They'll kind of be like the pockets of modernity left in the U.S., so it'll be pretty interesting how they survive. I foresee Atlanta just becoming a majority black, where they expel a lot of the minority groups, kind of turn into like, you know, a very just a industrial city. Well, it's basically kind of like how it is now. Okay, but even more oriented on black culture as well. I can see Atlanta becoming the worldwide mecca of African culture in the North Americas as well. And what about immigration from other countries? For example, will these Rio Grande states accept immigration from Mexico, or will they close the border? That is another very interesting proposition that could happen as well. And considering these are now international countries and not just the U.S., could this country say no more immigrants and just say and send them back, making this country forced to close the border with Mexico? It's very interesting what would happen in a balkanized USA as well. Same thing if, like, for example, can't people flee Canada and this state says no, so these states are forced to accept Canadian migrants as well. I wonder how many people have to move if they're not culturally similar to parts of the USA. For example, Chicagoland, this area here, the people on the fringes might just move to Wisconsin, this prairie state, or the liberals might move to Madison. You might see the largest population exchange in areas since like India and Pakistan and the whole United States or former United States. And that's about this video here. Goodbye.